What are some factors that determine whether you are likely to procrastinate or not? Today I'm going to be covering 6 factors that determine whether you're more likely to procrastinate or might have an impact on how much you procrastinate. And these are personality type, distraction, task difficulty, emotions, forecasting bias, and willpower. And the first one, personality type, this is a huge factor in determining whether you are going to become distracted. There's a 5-factor method for determining personality types, and the acronym for that is OCEAN. And there's one particular factor in this personality trait mechanism that determines whether you're more likely to procrastinate or not, and that's conscientiousness. And conscientiousness is your ability to be organized or detail-oriented. And people that are low in conscientiousness are more likely to procrastinate. And there's also neuroticism in this personality test. And if you're high in neuroticism, you're also more likely to procrastinate, because neuroticism has to deal with how much you worry and how you deal with emotions. So being low in conscientiousness in your personality and high in neuroticism leads you to procrastinate more. So I would recommend taking this 5-factor method personality test and actually taking a look at your whether you are more likely to procrastinate or not, because and that's not necessarily going to make you feel better, but it lets you know how much work you have to do. If you're not that high in conscientiousness, then you know you have to do more work to combat the procrastination in your life. And another factor in procrastination is distraction. The more distractions you have around you, the more likely you are to procrastinate. If you have your phone, you're watching TV, you're constantly hanging out with your friends, if you're always looking towards something or something else and filling up your day, then you're going to procrastinate more. You're going to put off your tasks. And a lot of these things you've built up in your life might be there because you don't want to do your project. You're sabotaging yourself. So the number of distractions you have in your life is going to determine how much you procrastinate. And you need to take a look at how many of the things you're doing in your life are actually distractions and not actually necessary tasks that you need to do. That you're putting them there so you don't have to deal with the emotions that you have to deal with if you get started on your project. And another factor in determining whether you're more likely to procrastinate or not is the task difficulty. And what this means is the difficulty of the task that you're trying to accomplish. And an example I'll give is like this vlog that I'm doing right now is, you have to have a camera, you have to be able to feel comfortable in front of it, which, I'm struggling with, but it's something you have to work through. The harder the task is, the more likely you are to procrastinate. If it's just taking the garbage out, then you're not likely to procrastinate on that. But if it's taking the garbage out in freezing cold weather or something like that, then you're more likely to procrastinate. And, so that's something that you have to think about when you're dealing with procrastination. If it's a tough task, you're gonna have more willpower and more things and more good habits to accomplish it. And it's tough to say, but the best things that you want in life are gonna be a little bit more difficult. And so you're gonna have to be willing to deal with difficult tasks to accomplish the biggest goals in your life. So you're gonna have to get over procrastination to do that. And another factor in whether you're gonna procrastinate or not is emotions. And this one was kind of shocking to me when I first came into my research of procrastination, is how much procrastination has to do with emotions. If you can't deal with your own emotions or regulate your own emotions, you're more likely to procrastinate. If all of a sudden you feel bad from just doing the simplest tasks in your to-do list, it's going to be harder for you to not procrastinate. You're going to always be gratifying yourself to feel better in the moment than dealing with a little bit of emotions of getting over those emotions to get started on your task. So fear of rejection, this can bring up tremendous feelings in yourself and tremendous emotions, and you're going to have to combat that in order to overcome procrastination. Because, like for example, this video or doing the videos, I fear rejection from the people watching, or you fear rejection from people in your life. If you have to have a tough conversation with somebody, you're fearing that they might yell at you, or they might reject you, or you might be embarrassed in front of a lot of people. And those are tough emotions to deal with. And if you don't want to deal with them, then you're just going to put off the task. Public speaking, if you don't like speaking in public because it gives you fear, then you're not going to do the task. You're going to put it off. You're going to come up with a reason why you don't need to do it. And so the way to deal with that is mastering your emotions, being okay with who you are, working on your self-confidence, raising your self-esteem, not putting your worth into other people. But emotions is a huge reason. So a lot of this stuff out here about, just grit through it, grit your teeth, tie yourself down, push through it, do some push-ups. None of that is going to matter if you can't deal with your emotions, because emotions are more powerful than just gritting through it. So emotions is a big thing, and that's something that I think is key that's not really discussed out there. And a lot of it too in the schoolwork, procrastination stuff doesn't have to deal with emotions. It's that having tough conversations with people, getting started on the projects that are tough to start on, those are where the emotions are lined up. And another thing that I would encourage people to do is journal about the emotions that they feel and the projects that they're putting off the most, and try and understand those emotions and motivate yourself past them. If it's a fear of rejection, then that's something deeper, right? It's like self-esteem, and you're going to have to work on that and be okay with that, and maybe work with a therapist. If there's a lot of things that you're putting through off in your life, then you need to work with a therapist or work with a professional or work with a mentor to get past that. You need to have people in your life that tell you that you're good enough, that you're okay enough, that you should feel empowered. These are the things that you want to do, and you have to be okay with them. You have to be okay with the feelings that come up. And as you grow in dealing with your feelings, you'll move past this procrastination. So it's better to learn how to deal with your emotions now than later. Everything with procrastination is just better to deal with it now. Another factor in your likelihood to procrastinate is a forecasting bias. So as humans, we have a tendency to forecast that we will feel better tomorrow. We're going to feel better tomorrow about completing this task. So there's this bias that we have to feel good to complete the task that we want to do. Like, I can't complete this task because I'm tired, I'm kind of angry, I'm just not feeling it today. And that's a common thing with procrastination, is that you have to be in a certain state to accomplish a task. The state doesn't have to equal the intent. So you don't have to feel the best to get started. You can start it from a bad state. You can start it from, as long as you just get started on something. You're not gonna always feel good tomorrow. There's no guarantee that you're gonna feel good tomorrow. But we have this bias in thinking that, like, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm gonna wanna do this. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm gonna wanna complete this project. That's wrong. Get started today, because you're not guaranteed that you're gonna feel better tomorrow. So that's another determination in procrastination, is if you always have that tendency, but it never comes true, then you can tell that you have this bias and that you just don't believe it, right? Like, you have to think that I need to get this done today. I need to get started today. And the way you do that is, even if you don't feel like it, just get started, because it's not true tomorrow that you're gonna feel better. And you might feel better, but there's no guarantees. You have that natural tendency, and you can't believe it, because you don't know when it's gonna be right and you don't know when it's gonna be wrong. And the last factor that I wanted to speak about in determining whether you're going to procrastinate or not is willpower. And I spoke about this a little bit earlier, but willpower is your ability to fight procrastination, your ability to push through things. And this really has to do with self-regulation, like I said, about your emotions. And this really has to do with your energy levels as well. So willpower has to do with the energy that you have and the time of day that it is. So we only have a finite amount of willpower. And if you keep on putting all your difficult tasks to a certain time of day and then you fail, then willpower is going to fail you. And if you tend towards the end of the day, for example, one way to think of this is going to the gym. If you always put your gym time at the end of the day, and then you have a long day at work or school and you don't go to the gym, this is an example of it. Your willpower is finite. You used it all day in commuting to work, going to work, talking to people, doing your whatever you needed to get done at work. And then when you come home, you're wiped out. You don't have the willpower to go to the gym, to eat right. So you're gonna put it off and you're gonna put it to the next day. But again, this also has to do with self-regulation. So if you used up all your willpower during the day and your body wants to feel good at night, you're more likely to eat worse as well. So you're gonna put off starting your diet to tomorrow. So and the way you combat this one is you have to journal about it or observe yourself and figure out when you're failing. Is it because you're putting off everything to the end of the day when you have no energy? And every single task that you put it off to the end of the day and it doesn't get done. And the way to work around this is you need to start scheduling things earlier, like trying to wake up earlier and do it in the morning. And this isn't always possible, right? So you have to figure out where you can sacrifice your time. Maybe it's in the middle of the day during a lunch break, or maybe you don't have the time and you have to start looking. Towards other things. Maybe you have to give things up in your life. Hobbies or something that you have in your life that you need to cut out, extracurricular activities that you need to cut out, because those things are taken away from your willpower. So if you use up all your willpower and think you're gonna have energy at the end of the day, maybe you're not. And this is another area where I caution you from listening to these people that say grit through it and put your nose to the grindstone and it's grind season. Be careful, because you only have a finite amount of energy, and unless you're constantly grinding and used to that, then you have to work with what you have today. Your willpower is a certain amount, and until you can build your willpower through daily practice, daily habits, or changing your diet or changing your physical fitness routines, then you need to observe yourself and work within that and start eliminating the areas that are draining you from your willpower. Like, you can't put everything into towards the end of the day and in small periods of time and expect yourself to get them done. It's just too tough. So you have to really focus on where best to use your willpower. So these are some factors in procrastination and helping you understand whether or not you're going to procrastinate. These will help you understand your likelihood to procrastinate. And I hope it will help you on your procrastination journey. And make sure to check out my other videos on procrastination in my channel, and make sure to hit like and follow this channel. Thank you.